I always thought trust was the cornerstone of marriage, until I grew used to staring at the vacant space beside me night after night. Each time I reached for her, I wondered whether working late was simply a polished excuse for something much darker. My wife, Claire, had always been relentless in her ambition. Tailored suits, razor-sharp wit, and a dedication that devoured weekends and holidays alike. I admired that about her. I loved the fire in her drive. But somewhere between late-night strategy calls and client dinners, the flame that once burned for us began dimming. Her career became her lover, and I began to feel less like her partner and more like a figure occupying space in her life. At first, I dismissed it. But then the details piled up, small and subtle like whispers I didn't want to hear. She began showering before coming home. Her perfume was different, more sensual, not the kind you wear for an office boardroom. The ring she once wore religiously started disappearing on client-heavy days. And one night, around 11:40 p.m., Claire walked through the door looking distracted, not exhausted, but distant. She pressed a perfunctory kiss against my lips, murmured something vague about a long meeting, and disappeared into the bathroom with her phone in hand. Standing there, watching the door close, I realized I didn't even know the names of her new clients anymore. The next morning, instinct told me what my heart refused to accept. Instead of confronting her, I chose preparation. I called in a day off and staged a false business trip. Bag packed, hotel receipt printed. I kissed her goodbye while she barely looked up from her phone. She smiled, half asleep, already reaching for the device as I walked out the door. But I never left town. 2 hours later, I circled back and parked a few blocks away, hidden in the shadows like a thief in my own life. Around noon, she stepped out of the house, flawless, confident, phone pressed to her ear. She looked like she was going into battle, not back into the arms of her husband. I didn't follow her. I had another plan. I reached out to Derek, my oldest friend. He'd survived a brutal divorce himself and knew the weight of suspicion better than most. "Are you absolutely certain?" he asked. "I need to know," I told him. "I need the truth." That evening, I sat in my car down the street, binoculars and camera in hand, heart pounding like I was the guilty one. At 7:12 p.m., Claire texted, "Still stuck at work. Might be a late one. Don't wait up, babe. Love you." She even added a kiss emoji and a briefcase. But at 7:48, I saw him. A tall, athletic man walking casually up to my front door. He didn't knock. He had a key. My stomach turned to ice. Not fire, ice. Controlled, silent, deadly. I didn't burst in. I sat still, watching the upstairs lights flicker, watching shadows move in the window of the bedroom we once shared. At 8:20 p.m., I lifted the camera and caught a clear photo through the telephoto lens. The man, shirtless, smug, stood in the window sipping wine from one of our glasses. I sent Claire that single photo. No words. No accusations. No how could you. Just truth. It took her 5 minutes to see it, 2 more to call. I let the phone buzz unanswered. When she switched to text, it read, "It's not what it looks like. Please, let me explain." That made me laugh out loud. What did she think it looked like? A real estate showing. I blocked her. Turned the key in the ignition. Drove away. But of course, it didn't end there. The next morning, Claire showed up at Derek's house, where I was staying. She looked shattered, hair tangled, makeup smeared, still wearing yesterday's suit. She hammered on the door like she wanted to break it down, screaming my name until her voice cracked. From the upstairs window, I watched her crumble. Derek opened the door just enough to step outside. "You should leave," he said coldly. "I need to see him." "You already did. In the photo." Her silence was deafening. Eventually, she staggered back to her car and drove off. It should have ended there. A clean break. But Claire wasn't ready to let go. Over the following days, she bombarded me with emails, called my sister, even showed up at my office insisting there was more to the story. And she was right, there was. I hired a private investigator. Not for revenge, but because if I was burning the marriage to ashes, I wanted to know how deep the rot ran. The man in our bed was Evan Mercer, a junior partner at her firm. Young, arrogant, fresh out of grad school. The type who saw married women as trophies. Claire and Evan had been together nearly a year. Hotel receipts, late-night dinners, phony strategy sessions, all of it carefully disguised in her calendar with vague labels and coded initials. What crushed me most weren't the lies. It was the mockery. Their texts, pulled from a hidden cloud account, showed them laughing about me. She described me as dull, safe, predictable. He's still waiting at home like a puppy. It's almost cute. Almost. That line broke something in me permanently. I didn't confront her again. I went to a lawyer instead. Within a week, divorce papers were ready. I signed them in silence. No fight. No dramatic final conversation. When she was served, Claire exploded with rage. Called me a coward. Blamed me for destroying our marriage over one mistake. Claimed she had been planning to confess eventually. But the truth was simple. She wasn't sorry for what she did. She was only sorry she'd been exposed. 2 weeks later, I packed my life into boxes and left the city. Derek helped me find a small, quiet place with no ghosts in the walls. Starting over was slow and raw, but it was clean. Months passed before I heard from them again. One evening, an email appeared in my inbox from an unfamiliar address. The subject line read, "You were right." It was from Evan. His message was brief. "She called you boring, but she lied to both of us. She played me, too. I think she just needed someone to blame for her emptiness. Thought you should know." I deleted it without replying. I didn't need his pity. Claire was nothing more than a chapter one had lingered on too long, one I had finally torn out. And as for Evan? His place was exactly where I'd captured him. In my house, in my bed, frozen in a single photograph that exposed everything. A picture Claire will never erase.